Okay, so these are the materials that we will be using to make our bucket hat. First, we have our pattern, and we have 3 pieces here. There's the band, the top, and the brim. Next, we have a needle and thread if you don't have a sewing machine. And next, we have our fabric scissors. And over here, we have our fabric. I have 2 different kinds here. You can pick just one if you like, but I'm going to use 2 different ones. And this one I'm going to be using for the lining. And this is a brocade woven material. And for the main fabric, I'm going to use this black faux fur. So these are the materials. Okay, now that we have all of our materials, we can move on to the next step, and that is cutting the fabric. So first we're going to start with our main fabric, which is our faux fur. And before I cut anything, I want to check the grain of the fur, see which direction it's lying in, just so I know where I want to place my pieces, my fabric pieces, and know where to cut, because I want it all to be facing down, and it looks like it's going downwards this way. So now that I know that, I'm gonna grab my pattern pieces, and it looks like we need to cut these on the fold. So to do that, what we want to do is take our fabric and fold it over. Just like so. Just fold it over and make sure we have enough to fit our pieces here. And again, I want to make sure that the grain is going along with the fabric. So I'm going to place them like so along the grain line. So we have our brim, our band, and the top. For the band, we're going to cut 2 of these, and for the top we need to cut 1 of these for the main fabric. And for the brim, the part that goes around your head, we're going to cut 4 of the fur, because I'm going to be using this for the lining as well as the main fabric for this particular design, but you can switch it up however you like. So now that we know where to cut and how many pieces we need to cut, let's cut with our fabric scissors. Okay, so what we want to do next, now that we have all of our pieces cut out, is start assembling, sewing them together. And we have the band, main fabric and lining, as well as our brim, main fabric and lining. So what we want to do is go ahead and pair each set together, right sides facing each other. And we're just gonna sew all of the edges together. And if you don't have a sewing machine, that's fine. You could just hand stitch with a needle and thread, like so. It might be a little harder to do since this is a faux fur and it's a little thicker, but if you're using something that's not so thick, it'll be a lot easier. But this too is possible. Hey guys, so I'm actually going to be using a sewing machine to complete this project, and I wanted to give you a few tips. The first one is that I'm going to be using a walking foot, and that's only because I'm using a faux fur fabric and it's a lot thicker. So the walking foot is going to help the fabric to ease through the machine much easier. And my next tip is I'm going to be using a zigzag stitch, just because that's my preference whenever I use a faux fur fabric. Since it is so thick, I just prefer to use the zigzag stitch. So those are my tips for using a sewing machine on this project. Okay, now that we have our side seams sewn together on our brim and our band for the main piece and the lining, what we want to do next is we are going to take both of our brim pieces and we're going to sew these together along the edge. And to do that, we need to put these right sides together, good side to good side, and we want to line up the seams, the side seams on both sides. And I'm going to grab some pins and I'm going to pin them together. Like so. And now that I have both the edges pinned, I'm going to find the center, pin that, and then once everything is pinned into place, I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew around this whole edge. And I'm going to do that off camera and I will be right back. Alright, so as you can see, I've went ahead and completed sewing around the entire outer circle here of the brim. And next what I'm going to do is flip it inside out, like so. Make sure you pop out all the curves. And there we have our brim. Okay, now that that's done, I'm going to put this to the side so that we can begin building the top and band piece. So there's the top and there's the band. We've sewn the side seams together. Okay, so what we want to do is take our circle and we're going to find the center. So to do that, just go ahead and fold it in half. And I'm going to take some chalk, or you could take a pin, a stick pin, and just mark where the center is, like so, so that we know. I'm just going to go ahead and put some chalk right there on that side and this side. Leave a nice mark like so. And then we're going to do that again by flipping it the complete opposite way. So then we're going to mark the corners here for this. Again, you could just pin it on all four sides so that we know. And then when we open it up, you see we have our 4 markings. This is going to help us to line this up with our band here. So now that we have our markings on the top piece, we're going to go ahead and line it up with the band. And we need to do that by placing good side to good side. And I'm going to find the side seam and line up one of these markings with that side seam. And remember, good side, good side. And I'm going to pin in place like so. And then I'm going to take the opposite end and match that up with the other side seam and pin that into place like so. And then we want to find the center of our band on both sides so that we can line up our other top markings with the band. Alright, so I completed stitching the outer circle here of our main fabric top and band. Next, I'm just gonna flip it inside out. And there we have the top of our main fabric for the bucket hat. Also, I went ahead and did the same thing to our lining fabric. Lining top and lining band. Stitch those together around the outer circle, and now I'm going to go ahead and flip those inside out just so you can see how that looks. And I went ahead and added my label here, SHAE. You can find this pattern and the hat. It's going to be available on my website, SHAE.com, as well as my Etsy shop, SHAE. Thank you guys for your support. I appreciate it if you check that out. So now that we have both of our top pieces together, main fabric and lining, we're going to bring back our brim, and we have our 3 pieces here. Next, what we're going to do to go ahead and finish this hat off is we want to attach our main top piece to the main fabric brim. Okay, so now I have all of the markings pinned together. I'm going to go ahead and sew around this circle. Make sure you're getting all 3 layers in your machine or your hand stitch. So go ahead and sew all the way around, and then we'll move on to the next step. Almost done, guys. Okay, as you can see, I went ahead and stitched the brim and the band together to the inside and the lining. Go ahead and flip that out just so you can see how it came together, like so. So we have our bucket hat top main piece together, and I went ahead and serged the edges of the lining because this fabric is like fraying really bad. So I went ahead and just did a serge again along the edges to help stop the fraying. Next, what we want to do to finish off the hat is we want to attach the lining to the main fabric. To do that, what we're going to do is we are going to flip this inside out like so, and then upside down, and we're going to put the brim, flip that inside the hat so it looks like this. Wrong sides, these are the wrong sides, and the inside of the brim is tucked inside of the hat here. And I sewed the lining band and the main fabric band together, and I remembered to leave an opening. At first I said you only needed about a 2-inch opening, but since this fabric is much thicker, I ended up needing a 4-inch opening. So this is what it looks like once everything is sewn in place. Now what we want to do is flip it out. Flip the right side out so we can see what our hat looks like. Here we go. And be careful, you don't want to rip anything, any tears, and voila. There's our outer layer, and then we have the lining. Love that, so beautiful. Love that. And to finish it off, this is the last step, 100% last step. We need to close off that opening that we used to flip everything inside out. And to do that, we are going to go ahead and fold over this edge for the lining and line it up with the edge of the fur here. And we're just gonna take our needle and thread and not top stitch, but do like a ladder stitch in and out here to close off this hole. And then you're done. And that's it. And there you have it, your bucket hat. And I wanted to show you guys the second version, or another version of this hat that you can make with the same pattern. And this hat, as you can see, it is made out of canvas. And the difference with this one is I didn't line it. And I added these top stitch detail. I just went through and did a 1/2 inch space between each top stitch, and I did that before I attached the brim to the band. And I also did a finish top stitch between the band and the brim here, as well as a top stitch between the top and the band here to make everything stay nice and flat. So yeah, there you go. We have 2 different bucket hats we created with the one pattern. And again, you guys, you can get this pattern on my website, CineCherie.com, or on my Etsy shop. I'm going to put the links in the description below, so please go ahead and click on those. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and please leave me a comment. I really appreciate you all for watching. Thank you so much, and I hope you all learned something. Bye-bye.